Our brain is constantly receiving sensory info from the rest of our body. So things like temperature, blood pressure, heart rate. And it's taking all that sensory info and deciding what to do with that, right? How is it going to distribute resources? And so the brain is always trying to anticipate the body's needs in any given moment. So the way that we interpret that sensory information is going to have a big impact on how our brain predicts, right? What predictions we come up with. And one of the things that's fascinating is that we experience more of life. The way we interpret that sensory information changes. We begin to attach different meaning, different concepts to what that sensory info is. And so this can help us become better at predicting our energy needs. And for some of those concepts, it can make us worse at predicting those energy needs. And so we want to try to get more accurate. And so a great example of this divergence, right? How concepts can change the meaning of different sensory info. Let's take that kind of empty feeling in the pit of your stomach, right? That people tend to associate or call butterflies in the stomach, which is itself another concept. And so let's say that you're asked to give a public speech. For one person, right, that feeling in there rises, that kind of emptiness in the pit of the stomach, and that means fear. That means anxiety. That means I don't want to be here. And so they change their behavior and they change their actions so that they're going to experience less of that in the future, right? How do I get away from situations where I'm going to be required to public speak? How can I do this less often? Another person, that same feeling means excitement. That means engagement. I get to share, with the public what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. And so same feeling, different concept, different result. And so again, how can we improve the accuracy of those concepts? Now, the thing to remember is that while we're not responsible for the concepts that we grew up or absorbed as children, we are responsible with the concepts that we keep and that we cultivate now. And so this brings us to the concept of emotional granularity. What do I mean by that? So you think granular, sand, tiny. It's really about how do I develop a larger vocabulary to describe the things that I'm feeling, the things that I'm experiencing. And having that larger vocabulary allows me to be better at creating an action plan, allows me to be better at predicting my energy needs because I know what to do with it. And sometimes we have very few emotion concepts, right? Sad, happy, afraid, things like that. And those concepts hold a huge spectrum, right? Anger, there's resentment, there's rage, there's irritation, right? Like there's all these different things. The same thing for happiness, joy and exuberance and awe or wonder, right? There's all of these variations of that, all these colors, all these flavors that we sometimes try to pack into one concept. And the problem with that is that, again, just having fewer words to describe our experience gives us fewer options for action plans. So let's take something like anger, for example, right? Again, like I said, there can be so many different forms, but when we just take that one, like anger, it's just kind of non-specific, right? It doesn't necessarily give me an action plan, or gives me a poor action plan, right? I'm going to go, someone broke my trust. I'm going to go wreck their car, or I'm going to go rant about them on social media, or whatever. I'm going to do this self-destructive thing because I'm so angry, and it begins to spill into other areas of our lives and other relationships. But what would it look like if we unpacked that? What's behind just the anger? Well, I feel weak and foolish for letting someone breach my trust. And so, well, what action plan can you do that? Well, is there a way to limit my interactions with this person? Is there a way to set healthier boundaries with this person and with other people in the future so that this situation is less likely to happen? I feel hurt and heartbroken. That would be expected when someone broke your trust. Can you just feel that? Can you let that emotion go through you instead of having to push it down or push it away? Can you just experience that and then release it? I feel defensive and resentful. Understandable. What can you do that? Well, one, you can you can forgive, right? And forgiveness is a whole other subject, and I think sometimes we go a little astray in the way that we describe that. But let's keep it here. And I can also recognize that I have other people in my life that love me, and I can choose not to let that resentment bleed over into those other relationships. I can choose to have hope for the future. I feel lonely and isolated. I could seek out friends that I know, or family members or other loved ones that I know have my best interest in mind. I could take steps to engage in the things that I love to do with people that I love to do. Or even if I don't feel like, calling someone else, can I just go out and be in public around some other people, right? Can I engage in the things that I love? And so it gives us lots of little action plans that we can do when we kind of break apart that one concept into smaller concepts. Now, another concept I want to bring up is this idea that English does not have the market cornered on emotional concepts. And so there's something that we can learn from other languages, right? Different concepts that they have, different words that can expand our vocabulary. So I'll go through two. So the first is from Danish, hygelig. And so it's this idea of being cozy and comfortable, like you're wrapped up in a blanket with a good book. Another is from German, Geborgenheit, which is this feeling of being completely safe, like nothing can harm you. And we have words to describe some of that, or back to that Danish one, right? Like we have cozy or we have comfortable, but we don't necessarily have a word that describes like that combination or that feeling that's evoked when you think of like sitting, by the fire with a good book, it's raining outside. And so what can we pull from other languages that will help us to expand our emotional vocabulary? Again, this all goes back to helping our brain get better at predicting energy needs, right? What does the body need in any given moment? And when we can be more accurate with what we're feeling and we can make more accurate action plans, that helps our brain learn over time to be better at predicting what we need when the situation arises again, right? When I feel something similar, these were the action plans that I did last time. What can I do now? And then we just end up using a more appropriate amount of energy. We distribute more appropriately the resources to deal with whatever issue or whatever we're feeling, to respond to that in an optimum, efficient, effective way. And so just learning to have a better emotional vocabulary, developing that emotional granularity can really help us be better at regulating, managing our emotions, taking a healthy approach to experiencing emotions, and then having an action plan for where to go next.